What's going on, everyone? The stock market was a bloodbath today as 65% of the S&P 500 closed down in the red, with some big tech powerhouses like Nvidia, Tesla, Amazon, AVGO, AMD, and a handful of others closing down by quite a bit. In today's video, we have some other big earnings to cover from Apple, Amazon, Intel, and others, and the current volatility we're seeing is just the very, very beginning. As we know, the more volatility increases in the market, the more opportunities there are in the short term, as well as the better opportunities that get presented to us for the long term. This week's been a crazy one, and there's only one more day left, so let's make it the best day of the week. And besides that, Tom, let's jump right into it.
Yeah, everybody was really excited yesterday. You know, there was a lot of bullish action on the SPY. It bounced off support, and then this morning, the SPY came roaring back down, and now we're right back at that same support and back in the same range that we were in last week and over the past couple weeks. So overall, Mike, the SPY came right back. It was a pretty bloody move, falling down 1.42%. You know, we talk about those bigger pullbacks not being something that happens a lot this year, but there was some good earnings tonight. I will say I really liked Apple's earnings report. Whenever I was reading it, I saw that the sales rising 5%, obviously topping estimates is a good headline. And whenever you get into it, they beat on just about everything. EPS, revenue, iPhone revenue, iPad revenue, services revenue. Their gross margins were higher than expected. The only slight decline was Mac revenue came in just a little bit under estimates, but honestly, so close, you might as well just say a hit. But overall, Mike, really good report by Apple. And then they even said that they were investing a lot into their AI and Apple Intelligence as well. And, you know, we know that the AI category is always a good thing to say during earnings.
Exactly, and to put it politely, Apple had a much better earnings report than the rest of the stocks we're going to talk about in today's video, so just hold on there. But while we're still on the topic of Apple, it's nice to see it move up in after hours right now, but to be completely realistic, when you have the market falling like it is now, it makes it so much harder for like the companies that are reporting good earnings to rise. So while this report is nice to see from Apple, I don't know how tradable this action will be tomorrow unless the market sentiment also shifts. So keep that in mind. But another big tech powerhouse that just reported is Amazon, and their earnings were also pretty decent as well, as they beat on their profit expectations as well as their revenue expectations, and then their AWS revenue increased 19% year over year. And then on top of that, they're also benefiting from this recent AI boom because of their AWS, part of their company. So all of that is great to see. It's good news, and Amazon stock is falling in after hours. So that's how earnings work sometimes. You could have great news and you could have a falling stock price, where other times you could have horrible news and just horrible earnings and the stock can blast higher. So with that being said, with Amazon, let's keep a close eye on this one going into tomorrow, because even though they had good earnings, it shows that the selling pressure is strong, and this might present some nice momentum style opportunities with this one tomorrow.
Yeah, it definitely might. That's a big pullback again, 1.56% today alone, and that was before the market even closed. Like if we go from the high of this morning to the low of after hours here, Amazon's down 10% today, you know, if you're looking at it that way. So very interesting on how low Amazon got. Again, you got to love earnings season, right? You have some stocks that'll move up in crazy ways on bad earnings, and then, stuff like Amazon can report fairly good numbers and still drop off. You got to love it, right? But I will say the market was pretty bloody today, so I'm not too surprised to see it, continuing down. That's kind of like how you said with Apple, right? It could be a lot better if the SPY was green today, probably. It would be looking a lot better in after hours, in my opinion. But the next stock we talk about, Mike, isn't going to be as friendly on the earnings as these two were.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be a lot less friendly, again, to put it in a very nice way. And that is with Intel, and this thing is falling from the heavens as their earnings report was bad for multiple different reasons. But a couple things that really stood out is that they're going to cut just under 20,000 jobs as the company's struggling quite a bit. And they're also not going to pay their fourth quarter dividend, which sucks for shareholders, and it really just crushes sentiment. Again, there was a lot with this earnings report, and Intel is just one of those chip stocks that has really just lagged so far behind all the other big chip stocks like Nvidia, AMD, Qualcomm, and quite frankly, all of the other ones over the past couple of years. So Intel's looking pretty rough.
Yeah, that's a brutal chart, Mike. And I know a lot of people in the short term were watching that key $30 support, and that started to give out today. And I was like, okay, that sucks. I'm still going to watch them for the long term, right? I'm going to look at some of these upcoming supports coming up around $25 maybe in after hours. They're down so much. They're now even under that $25 low from 2023. So, Mike, I mean, like you said, falling from the heavens was a pretty good way to put it. That is a pretty insane drop here on the chart, pretty much from where Intel closed to where they are now. They're now down 18%, right? Who knows? It could end up opening down like 20% tomorrow. So that was a pretty bad move. Obviously, Intel has not had the hype, like you said, as AMD or Nvidia or the others. Now, granted, these companies also deal more, with AI and AI chips and GPUs, and, that's kind of been the hot topic, right? Intel does a lot with like processors, server processors, and those types of things a lot more. But yeah, it sucks for Intel shareholders, that's for sure, Mike. I'm actually a pretty big fan of Intel for the long term still. I think it's a stock that, like, as it drops, it'll be interesting to look at averaging into, right? But they definitely have a lot to prove here.
No doubt. And then there were a lot of companies that reported after the bell today, as we can see by looking at today's earnings schedule. So for tomorrow, we do have some oil companies set to report, like ExxonMobil and Chevron being the two main ones. So definitely keep your eyes peeled for those in pre-market tomorrow. And then we also have some crucial unemployment data set to release 1 hour before the market opens. The unemployment rate has been slowly increasing, which is a little bit concerning, but it's also expected given the rate hikes that we've seen over the past couple of years. If the unemployment rate comes in way higher than expected, that can bring in some craziness to the market, but I'm not really expecting this data to be too controlling of the market's direction. But again, it is something you will want to pay attention to 1 hour before the market opens. But the main thing heading into tomorrow is the volatility and action that we're seeing happen in the market right now. When we look at SPY, it has been pretty rough over the past couple weeks. And while today was certainly a big red day, one absolutely critical thing, Tom, is that SPY is still holding the $537.50 area. If you zoom out, you will see that this area has been one of the most important levels over the past couple weeks. And if we break below this, things can get very nasty very quickly. So again, I wanted to point this out, so everyone can be aware of it heading into tomorrow, because we've already bottomed at this level like 3 main times already. And if you get even more specific, you could say we've bottomed here like 5 to 6 times. So it goes to show there is a wall of buying pressure here, and everyone's looking at this level, and some people are praying that it holds while others are patiently waiting for that break so they could short pretty heavily.
Yeah, and I think that that'll be a pretty good opportunity if it does break. And, even if it does hold and it starts moving back up, that will create a good opportunity, kind of like what we saw yesterday. There was a lot of good bullish price action right after hitting there right before the market closed Tuesday. But I'm definitely going to watch that area closely, Mike. It's a big support. And with all these tech stocks reporting tonight, it's going to be important to, see Apple continue to move in such a good way, right? That might help the SPY's case for holding that support. But one single stock can't do it all, right? Microsoft has a pretty big weighting as well. We'll have to see how they continue to react from their earnings. They had a pretty negative reaction initially and are starting to also kind of fade back lower. So it's been a big week for earnings, Mike. Whenever you have Microsoft, Apple, and Amazon in the same week, you're going to get some insane price action, and we've definitely got it with some of these big swings that we've seen. And then we threw Powell into the mix too, right? So it's been a big week, and just watch that support closely. If it does give out, I do have some plays coming up later on, like with SQQQ and a couple other things to look for.
Gotcha. Besides the support level I listed, what are some key levels that you were watching on SPY for like both directions tomorrow?
Yeah, so obviously 537, 538 is a huge support right there. If that breaks, honestly, below there, the next level I have is right around 535 and then 534 to the downside. 532 and 530 will be pretty major once we break this range. Back to the upside, though, there was pretty big resistance intraday around 544, so I'm going to be watching for that, along with 540, 550, 548, and then 550 overhead. But I really do like the 548 resistance. We were pretty much in a big channel all week, pretty much between like 530, 750, 538, and then 548 as the top.
Sounds good. And then, as we look at not even just SPY right now, but just all stocks, we can see that volatility is significantly increasing. Whether you're looking at, Nvidia, Apple, Microsoft, or almost anything else out there, we are starting to see bigger moves to the upside and the downside. And this is great because, on red days, the red days are so much more brutal, which makes put options explode up by hundreds of %. And on the up days, again, there's so much more crazy where the call options explode in an insane way. And while this offers a bunch of opportunity for the short term, it'll also present opportunities for the long term, because when you see crazier moves, like let's say I'll cherry pick and I'll look at Nvidia today where it was down by we could see like almost 7%, and just other stocks have been moving in a crazier way as well. That offers opportunities for those who've been waiting to buy the dip. And what's really good about this increase in volatility is that this is just the beginning. So we can see by looking at this chart here that we are just heading into August, right? It is August 1st, and we can see from August, September, and October, all the way to November, basically, volatility tends to increase. And then another thing worth noting is that, of course, we have the election coming up. We have the market at an interesting point, and then we have a lot of tensions, like significantly on the rise in the Middle East. So this is only going to further intensify the already higher than expected volatility. And again, this is a good thing for short-term trading. So take the moment now to, mentally prepare for this and make sure you're trading in a way that is, of course, smart and disciplined, but in a way that, opens the doors for you to profit off of these situations. And the first and best thing you could do is make sure that your trading habits are solid. So many people out there trade without stop losses or any real plan. So whenever you enter a trade, understand, not only where, around you'll cut losses and take profits, but actually follow the plan that you come up with. And, just make sure for any trade you do enter, make sure you enter it in a way where, you're not going too heavily. So if it doesn't work out, you'll still be okay and not only able, but, quick to profit off of, other opportunities. But yeah, it's a great time to be a trader, Tom. And these next couple months and honestly, the next couple weeks are going to be very exciting.
Yeah, and the market's been shifting so much, and I know that we've been preaching to stay adaptable over the past couple weeks and couple months. So, hey, if that's been helping you guys, go ahead and smash that like button, hit the subscribe as well. I hope that it's been helping you out a little bit over the past couple weeks as things have been changing a little bit. And Mike, we look at VIX. You go out to the daily chart on VIX. It's pretty insane to see how high it's getting in the short term, right? We were stuck down around that support on VIX around like 12 to 13 for a long time, right? That was pretty major. Got very flat, and now we're starting to see that price action shoot up in a crazy way, and the options go nuts. I really thought like Tesla today provided a lot of great opportunities back down, and like whenever we look at the daily charts, a lot of these stocks have kind of been in a dead cat bounce, in my opinion, the past few days. Today was kind of that day where, now we're coming back to test support, and we could end up seeing some pretty good flushes under here. So I just want to say to continue to stay adaptable. I know that we preach that a lot. It sounds like a broken record, but especially in this market now, it's a pretty important aspect of trading.
Sounds good. Well, Tom, let's not hold back any further and let's get right into the good stuff for today, which are some setups and predictions. A stock I'm watching very closely right now is GLD. This follows gold prices, and as we look at the chart, it has definitely been uptrending in a pretty strong way, but it's not yet to the point where it's overextended. Gold is oftentimes a place where investors flock to in times of, volatility and just fear, so that is a good thing. Gold is also getting closer and closer to its record highs again, which again only further brings in more buying pressure. So either way, GLD is on my upside radar in the short term. We've also seen a handful of pretty bullish big money plays as well, not only with gold, but also silver and other precious metals related companies. So GLD is on my radar.
Yeah, mine too. I'll definitely be watching it closely. These big money plays on silver are looking pretty interesting in the short term. That one on the 30th, just a couple days ago. I know today we had a bit of a pullback, but just keep it on the radar. These metals are still sticking around in the short term. With my next play, or first play, I should say, I'm looking at KO, which is in a bit of a different sector, right? It's kind of like one of those value stocks that a lot of people like to buy for the long term, but in the short term, it's actually continuing to make new highs, even while the market's falling. KO's continuing to push higher. It could be one of those stocks people are kind of rotating into for the safety and value aspect of it. But nonetheless, the options do move pretty well on KO also, especially on intraday runs like we saw today. So I'm just going to keep watching this one up for a breakout past 68.10 since it kind of has more of a mind of its own. Now, it's still highly correlated to SPY, but not like NVIDIA or some of those tech stocks are.
All right, sounds good. A stock I'm watching pretty closely is Netflix, and it is to the downside. This one has been on my downside radar for the past couple weeks or so, as many of you who watch the videos regularly know. But Netflix is getting closer and closer to its recent lows. They reported earnings over the past couple weeks, and they tried to run up, but got rejected in a pretty hard way. Even looking at Netflix's price action from today, it tried so hard to just like increase and have a good bullish day, but that selling pressure was strong, and it definitely pushed Netflix to close pretty weak on the day. On top of that, it's a big tech stock that's overextended, and a lot of these types of stocks have been pulling back the hardest in the short term. So I would love to see Netflix break below like the $617 area with like respectable momentum. And if that happens, I think Netflix will offer a great opportunity for a play to the downside.
Yeah, I like it quite a bit. I like that support. It could be an awesome play for tomorrow, especially if we see the whole market start to flush a little bit. That will be one that will definitely be on my radar. And something else that I'm going to be looking at that we could take advantage of a downside move out of the market with will be SQQQ. So I'm really watching these tech stocks in the short term. NVIDIA, Microsoft, Apple, etc. They're all right around supports. We're having some pretty bad reactions today following all the earnings and everything this week. So I'm definitely going to keep watching for that flush. If we start to see like the support on SPY give out right around that 538 to 540 mark, and then we see QQQ support obviously give out too, right around 454, then I'll keep watching. SQQQ had a great move today. It's up 7%, and whenever the market falls, the price action on this gets very amazing intraday, and the options start to really explode. So, whenever you have something moving as much as SQQQ does, it's important to still deploy smart trading habits, have good stop losses and everything as well. And one thing I will say is that with all the volatility lately, maybe enter a little bit lighter so that, you can maybe widen your risk a little bit, because that volatility is causing a little bit of extra movement going on right now, Mike.
Yeah, no doubt about that. So good stuff there. But besides that, it's now about that time for today's momentum plays. And with the first one, we have Microsoft to the downside.
MSFT, pretty bad move today. If it breaks under 412, then keep watching them down.
All right, with the next one, we have MU also to the downside.
Micron, a chip stock, down a lot today. They're right at a key $100 support. And Mike, we actually have this on the book map here as well. So $100 was crucial today, as you can see on MU. There was a nice bounce right off of 100 and ended up coming right back. But keep watching 100. That's a big support. So if that breaks, watch MU to the downside.
All right, and then with the last one, we have LMT to the upside.
Yeah, Lockheed Martin's popping a lot in the short term. Great movement, 1.28%. If they're able to break above 550, then keep watching them up.
All right, so we have the upside level for LMT, and then we have the downside levels for MU and Microsoft. Either way, these three stocks are on watch for potential day trades tomorrow. If and only if they break through the levels Tom listed. We are looking for these stocks to, again, break through the levels Tom listed and then continue in those directions. If they do not break the levels listed, then do not force the setups. The stronger and more consistent these stocks move, the better and stronger the setups become. So keep them on watch for tomorrow. And besides that, let's jump right into today's $1.8 million big money trade. And we are looking at ticker symbol JPM. Today, the big money put $1.8 million into some JP Morgan put options at the 195 strike for the September 20th of 2024 expiration. JP Morgan had a pretty rough day. Alongside many other stocks, but basically looking at JP Morgan, it has some heavy resistance at this 216 area, and it actually double topped there, which is not good to see. Again, decent selling pressure came into this one, and these put options are a little bit far out of the money, which is a little bit concerning that these put options can be bought in the form of like a hedge play for an already existing share position. But overall, they definitely have potential. And while this big money trade is riskier than the average big money trade, it also comes with like increased reward in the sense if we saw a market-wide sell-off or if JP Morgan started to sell off in a big way, these put options can rise quite a bit. So keep them close on watch. Another thing I do like about this one is that we had a recent big money play with Bank of America a couple weeks ago with some put options, and those are up by like 90% right now, which is really good to see. And as we know, Bank of America tends to move, mostly together with JP Morgan.
Yeah, a lot of those banks, they group together, obviously. But one thing with JP Morgan, I really do like this technical setup in the short term. You know, that double top around 216 to 217 is huge as well. So this setup's looking pretty good, Mike. This is one of my favorite big money plays in a little while. Obviously, I do like I like a couple others out there as well, but I do like the technical setup on this one, and I think that there's a lot of good backing on the chart, as well as, you know, the prospect of rate cuts can also kind of make banks move down a little bit, right? We might start to see a little bit of selling, especially after they're hitting highs right now, right? I can't believe, Mike, how much JP Morgan has came back over the past year and a half to 2 years, because that 2022 dip was so brutal, and now they've overextended almost in a way, right? And I really do like that double top here in the short term.
There we go. So keep a close eye on this one going forward. As always, big money plays take time. These are not setups for tomorrow. Like yesterday's big money play was BNO, and like it pulled back a little bit today, but understand that the big money buys options with, in many cases, months worth of time because they plan on holding these options for weeks or months at a time. So if you're someone who's just trying to, buy this option today and sell it tomorrow, then you're not doing the same thing the big money's doing, which is not necessarily the best thing. So just keep that in mind going forward. But as we look at the market right now, Tom, things are heating up, and they are heating up quickly. This volatility that we're seeing is something that is not going to go away anytime soon, and that is a great thing. Nothing is worse than a boring, slow, choppy market, and I'm very happy to say that we have quite the opposite of that, and we're at least going to have this for the next couple months. So it's important to strike while the iron is hot. There's going to be a lot of great opportunities, not even just tomorrow and next week, but over these next couple of weeks and these next couple months. Make sure you are in a position to capitalize off of them, and that ultimately starts with your trading habits. So lock those down and the rest will follow. Besides that, I'm super excited going forward. If you guys are new to the channel, consider demolishing the subscribe button to get our videos recommended to you more often. In every single video, we cover the most important things you need to know for the market, multi-million-dollar big money trades, charts you won't find anywhere else, and setups and predictions for the next day. Last but not least, we want to give a giant shout out to today's member of the day, Hans. They've been in the trading floor for a little bit now, and they've been a great member all around. Again, they're still relatively new to the community, but they've been a phenomenal member so far. So huge shout out to you, and thank you for being just a great valued member of the community. Besides that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and let's end the week on a great note.